Many offices are now looking at how to use digital tools in their daily work.
That is very true, Elena. While this is an interesting change, it can be a bit challenging to discuss these updates with your team using the right professional vocabulary.
Exactly. It is natural to want to contribute to these conversations and share your thoughts on digital improvement.
But we often want to ensure our suggestions sound balanced and helpful rather than just technical.
That is why in this session, we are focusing on practical communication. Welcome to Business English for Success. I am Elena, and together with Marcus, we will walk through the specific phrases you can use.
Especially when your department discusses applying new technology at work.
Our goal today is to provide you with a clear guide for 5 common office scenarios.
We will cover how to suggest a new application, how to discuss its impact on our workflow, and even how to address data safety with your manager in a professional manner.
These phrases are designed to help you communicate with more confidence and clarity in your workplace.
At the end of our discussion, we will also share a practical tip on how to ask insightful questions that contribute to your team's success.
It is a pleasure to have you with us for this session.
Let's begin with our first situation, how to propose a new way of working.
Let's look at our first situation. Imagine you have found a practical tool, like a digital calendar assistant, that can help your team organize weekly schedules.
The challenge is suggesting it without implying that the current manual method is ineffective.
That is a very important point, Marcus. In a professional environment, colleagues value established processes.
Precisely. If we suggest a change too abruptly, it might seem like we do not appreciate the team's current efforts.
Exactly, Marcus. Our strategy here is the supportive suggestion method.
Instead of focusing on a complete change, we talk about how this specific tool can complement our existing work.
Right. It allows us more time for high-priority tasks.
We use phrases that demonstrate our desire to make the workflow more convenient for everyone.
Let's listen to how this conversation flows in an office setting. Marcus, do you have a few minutes? I've been looking at our scheduling process for the upcoming month.
Certainly, Elena. I was just reviewing the department calendar. Is everything moving according to plan?
Yes, it is. However, I actually found a helpful scheduling tool that might make this process a bit smoother for the whole team.
That sounds interesting. How would that work with our current system?
It uses a basic feature to categorize our recurring tasks automatically. It would simply organize the initial data for us.
This way, we can spend less time on manual data entry and focus more on our project discussions.
I thought it might be a nice way to support our weekly workflow.
I appreciate you looking into this, Elena. It sounds like a practical way to save time and increase our focus.
Let's share it with the team during our brief meeting tomorrow. Marcus, you may have noticed that I didn't say, the old way is less efficient. Let's use a new tool instead.
That was a very professional choice, Elena. Focusing on what is inefficient can sound critical or negative.
But when I said it might make this process a bit smoother, I sounded like a helpful partner.
Exactly. We are not fixing a problem. We are adding value to the team's time.
Now it's your turn to practice. Let's try this effective phrase for proposing a new tool. I found a helpful tool that might make this process a bit smoother.
One more time. Focus on the helpful tone.
I found a helpful tool that might make this process a bit smoother.
Great work. This approach shows you are ready to support your team's goals.
Proposing a tool to a colleague is a great start.
But what if you need to discuss the safety of company information with your manager?
That requires an even higher level of professional care.
Let's move to our next situation, where we explore how to talk about data safety with confidence.
Now, let's move to an essential topic for every modern office, data security.
Imagine your department is considering a powerful tool, such as a professional digital assistant, But you want to be certain about how the company's internal information is managed.
This is a vital professional responsibility, Marcus. It is not about being hesitant toward new technology.
Exactly, Elena. It is about maintaining the company's digital standards.
However, if our concerns sound too informal, they might be misunderstood as a lack of confidence in the project.
Precisely. Our strategy here is the standard-focused inquiry method.
Instead of focusing on potential risks, we ask professional questions about the existing guidelines.
We demonstrate that our primary goal is to maintain the integrity of our team's work.
This approach shows you are a responsible professional who values long-term stability.
Let's hear how this is discussed with professional grace.
Marcus, I've been reviewing the documentation for the new digital assistant tool we discussed. Do you have a moment to talk about the data guidelines?
Of course, Elena. I appreciate your attention to the details. What is on your mind?
While the tool appears very effective for our reporting tasks, I wanted to inquire about our internal information. How can we ensure that our client data remains within our secure network when using these features?
That is a very thoughtful question. Maintaining high privacy standards is a priority for us. Have you identified any specific configuration options in the manual?
I noticed several settings, but I believe a clear internal policy would be beneficial for the team. I want to ensure we are all following the same professional standards to protect our collective work.
I completely agree, Elena. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Let's outline a simple set of guidelines before we move forward with the next steps.
Marcus, you may have noticed that I used the phrase remain within our secure network.
Instead of expressing worry about information leaving the office.
That was a key distinction. Using phrases that focus on security and professional standards sounds much more constructive and calm.
Right. It is about being a partner in maintaining safety, rather than just highlighting a concern.
Now, let's practice this essential phrase for discussing security professionally. How can we ensure that our data remains within our secure network?
Let's try it again. Keep the tone steady and professional.
How can we ensure that our data remains within our secure network?
Excellent. Speaking with this steady tone builds a great deal of professional trust.
We have discussed tools and security, but what about the team members?
How do we discuss the new skills we may need to develop?
That is an excellent point, Marcus.
In our next situation, we will explore how to suggest a training session so that everyone feels confident and prepared for these digital updates.
Now let's talk about a very important part of professional life, continuous learning.
When a company introduces updated digital systems, it is natural to want a clear understanding of how to use them effectively.
You are right, Marcus. Sometimes we might feel that we need more dedicated time to practice with new software.
Instead of keeping this to ourselves, it is much more productive to discuss it with the team in a positive way.
Exactly, Marcus. Our strategy here is the proactive growth approach.
Instead of focusing on what we find difficult, we say, I want to ensure I am using this tool to its full potential to support the team.
This demonstrates a professional mindset. You are not just asking for assistance.
Right, you are proposing a way to increase collective productivity. Let's hear how this is expressed in a professional conversation.
Marcus, I've been looking at the new project management platform this morning.
It certainly has some helpful features for our coordination. I believe it will make our team collaboration much smoother.
I'm glad to hear that. How is your experience with it so far?
It's been very interesting. However, to ensure I am using all the features correctly, I was thinking about a brief training session for our department.
That is a practical suggestion, Marcus. What kind of format were you thinking of?
Perhaps a short internal workshop to share best practices. I want to ensure we are all aligned so we can fully support our upcoming projects with confidence.
I appreciate your initiative, Marcus. It is important that everyone feels comfortable with our resources. I will look into organizing a session for the team next week.
That sounds great, Elena.
Marcus, you may have noticed that you used the phrase, ensure I am using the features correctly.
Instead of saying, I need more time to adjust to this new system.
That was an excellent choice. Using phrases that sound uncertain might not reflect your true professional capability.
But focusing on using features correctly shows you are dedicated to quality work.
Precisely. We are replacing a personal challenge with a professional goal of being more effective. Now, let's practice this proactive phrase together. I want to make sure I am using this tool the right way to help the team.
One more time, with a confident, professional tone.
I want to make sure I am using this tool the right way to help the team.
Excellent work. This phrase shows you are a dedicated and forward-thinking team member.
Developing new skills is a significant step forward.
But as we apply these tools, we also need to evaluate their impact on our work.
You're right, Marcus. How do we measure if a new process is truly providing the value we expected?
Let's move to our next situation, where we talk about evaluating progress and sharing results with your team lead.
After using a new tool for several weeks, your manager may ask, is this update providing a practical return on our time?
This is a key opportunity to demonstrate that you are focused on the actual value the technology brings to the team's goals.
Exactly, Marcus. It is important to avoid general statements.
If we only say, it is great, or I like it, we miss the chance to show our professional observation.
We need to focus on quality and measurable outcomes.
You're right, Elena. Our strategy here is the fact-based review method.
Instead of sharing personal opinions, we provide clear, brief examples of how our daily work has improved.
This demonstrates a results-oriented mindset. You are showing that you care about the efficiency of the entire department.
Let's hear how this progress is reported. Marcus, do you have a moment? I've gathered some initial observations on the automated reporting feature we started using 2 weeks ago.
Perfect timing, Elena. I was interested in hearing an update. How is the process performing so far?
The results are very encouraging. For instance, I've noticed that it now takes us about 30 minutes less to prepare the weekly summary compared to our previous method.
30 minutes every week? That is a significant amount of time saved for the whole department.
It certainly is. This improvement allows us to dedicate more time to analyzing the information rather than just organizing it. I will continue to monitor our progress and provide a more detailed summary at the end of the month.
I appreciate this update, Elena. It helps me understand the practical benefits of our recent adjustments.
Thank you for your diligence. Marcus, you may have noticed I used a specific measurement, like 30 minutes less.
Instead of saying, it makes our work so much faster and better.
That was a professional choice. Phrases like faster and better can sound a bit like a sales advertisement.
But providing a specific time saving makes your feedback feel reliable and evidence-based.
Exactly. In a professional environment, clarity is always more helpful than vague descriptions. Now let's practice a phrase to report a positive result professionally. It now takes us about 30 minutes less to prepare the weekly summary.
Let's try it again. Focus on a steady, professional tone.
It now takes us about 30 minutes less to prepare the weekly summary.
Well done! This level of clarity is exactly what builds professional credibility.
Reporting positive progress is a great feeling.
However, we also know that digital tools are not always perfect.
Sometimes we encounter small inconsistencies.
That's true, Elena. How do we communicate when a tool has a limitation or a small error?
In our final situation, we will look at how to discuss technical challenges with professional grace and a focus on solutions. We have reached our final situation. Occasionally, even the most advanced digital resources may have limitations or produce a minor inconsistency.
It is natural to feel a bit concerned when technology does not perform exactly as expected during a productive workday.
That is very true, Marcus. In a professional environment, being transparent and maintaining a calm perspective is highly valued.
It is better to address the observation directly, rather than feeling personally responsible for a technical limitation.
Precisely, Marcus. Our strategy here is the observation and adjustment method.
Instead of using negative language like the system failed, we describe the situation as a technical limitation.
And then we focus on a practical adjustment.
This approach demonstrates that you are a solution-oriented professional.
You are not dwelling on the occurrence, you are focusing on the resolution.
Let's hear how this is handled with professional confidence.
Marcus, how is the automated client summary we generated this morning coming along? I was looking forward to reviewing the results.
It is almost complete, Elena. I wanted to provide a brief update. However, I noticed a small inconsistency in how the dates were organized.
I see. It appears to have a minor limitation when working with our older file formats.
Does this require a significant amount of additional work?
Not at all. I have already made a manual adjustment to the final report to ensure all the information is accurate.
For future tasks, I will simply update the file format before we begin the process.
I appreciate your attention to detail, Marcus.
Thank you for addressing this so calmly and ensuring our standards remain high.
You may have noticed that Marcus used the phrase, a minor inconsistency.
Instead of saying, the tool impacted the quality of our information.
That was a very important distinction.
Right. Using strong negative descriptions can create unnecessary tension within a team.
But minor inconsistency sounds like a factual, professional observation.
Right. It keeps the conversation constructive and focuses on how we can improve the work moving forward.
Now let's practice this professional way to report a technical observation. I noticed a small inconsistency in how it organized the dates.
One more time. Focus on a calm, balanced, and professional tone.
I noticed a small inconsistency in how it organized the dates.
Excellent work. Being able to report an issue with such composure is a sign of an experienced professional.
We have covered a wealth of practical communication today.
From proposing tools to managing technical limitations.
We certainly have. But before we conclude, let's bring all these professional phrases together for a final review.
A great idea. Let's move to our summary session.
We will reinforce the 5 most important phrases from today's discussion. We have explored a lot together today, Marcus, from suggesting new digital resources to discussing professional guidelines.
Which part do you believe is the most important for our viewers to keep in mind?
That is an excellent question, Marcus. I believe the most valuable takeaway is the use of supportive language.
Exactly. Instead of focusing only on the technology, we focus on how it provides value to our colleagues and supports the team's goals.
I completely agree. When we use phrases like make the process smoother or support our daily work, we sound like a collaborative partner.
And that is essential for professional growth. Now, we would love to hear from you.
Has your department started looking at any new digital tools recently?
And how did you feel when discussing these updates with your team?
Please share your experiences in the comments. We value your real-world office stories.
They help us create more relevant and practical lessons for everyone.
Every shared experience helps our community grow.
Even a simple phrase you used can be a great help to another professional.
Before we conclude, let's bring everything together.
This is our final practice session for the 5 most effective phrases we learned today.
This is a great way to adopt these words into your own professional voice.
Elena will read the phrase clearly first, and then I will repeat it with a natural, balanced tone.
Please speak out loud after each turn. Phrase 1. I found a helpful tool that might make this process a bit smoother.
I've found a helpful tool that might make this process a bit smoother.
Phrase 2. How can we ensure that our data remains within our secure network?
How can we ensure that our data remains within our secure network?
Phrase 3. I want to make sure I am using this tool the right way to help the team.
I want to make sure I am using this tool the right way to help the team.
Phrase 4. It now takes us about 30 minutes less to prepare the weekly summary.
It now takes us about 30 minutes less to prepare the weekly summary.
Phrase 5. I noticed a small inconsistency in how it organized the dates.
I noticed a small inconsistency in how it organized the dates.
Excellent work. Consistent practice is the key to building real professional confidence and clarity.
Thank you for spending your time with us today at Business English for Success. Your commitment to professional development is truly inspiring. Remember, technology is just a resource, but your communication skills are what truly show your leadership. Keep practicing, remain curious, and continue to be a supportive colleague. We look forward to seeing you in our next video, where we will explore more practical ways to be effective at work. Have a productive and positive week ahead. Goodbye for now.